Previously, I made a part 1 of Midoriya Izuku's wig by adding wefts from scratch.
This thing is so light, it doesn't hold. I'm gonna mash this thing. Ha-ha! You're gonna stick whether you like it or not. Good thing about Arta wigs, they claim that they are high heat tolerance, so you can curl them, you can iron them. And I bought it in person. It was while I was at Otakon. You can see that vlog, what happened during that convention. Now that everything is like really woven in, you really can't see the base of the wig is.
Click on the eye icon in the corner to watch that tutorial. We start out with a basic set of tools: comb, cutting shears, curling iron, wig head, and wig stand is optional. Take general proportions into consideration when cutting, as you may have longer sideburns to cover or longer bangs to drape over your forehead, depending on what you need. Basic rules apply similar to fabrics. Measure 3 times and cut once. It's easier to trim a little bit at a time than it is to repair cuts once it's already been made. I personally cut a bit too short in the back when cutting the original long wig for wefts, and I had to compensate by weaving wefts to even out the length. The technique that I use for most wigs, which involves securing fibers between your fingers, feathering them out to avoid clumps, and glide the scissors in a sliding motion as you close and open the scissors. This creates randomness in your hair appearance that would otherwise create lines in the wig if you opt to cut straight lines across or with an electric clipper. The reason why is because of how wigs are constructed. They follow the grid pattern attached to the fabric ribbons, as you may notice when turning the wig inside out. Trust me when I say this, I tried taking the easy route with electric clippers and I basically ruined a $30 or more wig. Variety and randomness is key to getting a realistic or uniform cut, even though that may sound counterintuitive to the results you're intending. When cutting, I went over several times after shaking off and test fitting on my own head due to it being too long or uneven on each side and from front to back. The trimming process took me almost 3 hours by hand, just to give you a relative time frame of reference. Once I had felt comfortable with the length, I took to using curling iron number 1 that I had borrowed from my mom. I used the lowest setting and held until 12 seconds and then tested to see if the curl would hold. Fun fact, this one did not heat up enough. The way that this iron worked was similar to a blow dryer, with a curling element on the end of it, which was not adequate for this application. I moved to an inconspicuous test spot in the back of the wig to try method number 2, using curling iron number 1 with my heat gun in combination. I had my hands full and didn't record since it was much higher in temperature and which involved higher risks, so I kept my cameras away in a safe zone and used whatever appendages I could to make the process happen. Needless to say, I burnt the fibers to where they coiled up and I had to cut it off. Method number 3. Just like Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, this was just right. The curling iron was old school and I didn't have a temperature slider, so I used the incremental increase method to test in back of the wig. You can increase the exposure time to the heat or increase the heat setting for a shorter exposure time. Do not space out or try multitasking, as you may burn something or hurt yourself. I repeat, do not. I curled the wig all around in an upward fashion, but left some flat where the sideburns would normally fall. I grabbed my got-to-be hair product, I think it was labeled Surf Hair if I remember right, then dampened my fingers slightly and worked from the scalp to the end of the curls until it had a uniform look to it. The purpose of this step was to decrease the flyaways or frizz that naturally happens after you curl the wig. To fine-tune the wig, I used the Got2b Freeze Spray lightly to hold the look. For the sideburns, I used clear glue sticks to flatten your sideburns down and layer the flat parts of the wig fibers, mesh them together to have a more natural look to it. The total time spent on styling and cutting took about 4 hours in a relaxed pace. If you're at a hotel and doing a con crunch like we all do when we procrastinate, this could all be possible in half the time, and twice the injuries, of course. If you're interested in more cosplay crafting, make sure to subscribe here to my channel, and if you like a more interactive, live format, make sure to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/theAbeyantHero. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter, theAbeyantHero on Instagram, and at theAbeyantHero on Twitter. I frequently respond to comments, posts, and messages, so feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to share your company along with the process. For upcoming projects, I'm going to be crafting and finishing up Kiton based on Gurren Lagann,